We're here in Quemado, just 400 yards away from the border with Representative Keith Self from Texas's 3rd Congressional District. Could you tell me a little bit about why you came out to this event today and why you think it's important?
I think it's important because I hope this is a start of a major movement across the United States where the American people rise up, because we have got to they have got to rise up to take on this weaponized federal government that is not working for the average working American. Yes, Governor Abbott can do what he's doing. Yes, 24 other governors can support him. But we need the voice of the American people to be loud, to do things like this, but do something in your own community if you can. Let your voice be known that the Biden administration here on the border is absolutely lawless. The open border is not a mistake, it's a plan. And that's what we need to realize, and that's what we need to fight back, because there are no counties or states that are not border counties and states today. It's everywhere. You see the New York mayor saying he can't take anymore. Well, he doesn't have a percentage of what we have in Texas today. So that's what I want. I want the American people to start engaging in these major issues that they need to be telling their elected officials, do your job, enforce the law, let's close the border.
And now we've seen this feud between Governor Abbott and the state of Texas and the Biden administration. Where do you see that going? How do you see that playing out?
Well, no one knows. President Biden could nationalize the National Guard, but I want the 24 other governors to support Abbott with more than just words. I want them to send some of their state National Guard to Texas, because it's much harder for President Biden to nationalize multiple states' National Guards, because this is a cat and mouse game. This is, now Governor Abbott has absolute constitutional authority to do what he's doing under Section 4.4 and 110 of the U.S. Constitution. So let's make no mistake about that. He is authorized to do this constitutionally, but I don't know where it's going. I don't know if President Biden is going to fold his cards or if he's going to up the ante.
We've seen this fortification of the border here in the Del Rio sector and throughout Texas with Operation Lone Star. And as we've discussed, it seems like the flow of illegal migrants is transitioning from Texas over to Arizona and to California. Do you think that this is kind of going to highlight the differences in policy between red states and blue states? And what do you think that's going to show the nation as this flow shifts from states?
I think it's going to absolutely show several things. First of all, that the cartel controls the flow. These are not just individual people coming across. They've paid the cartel is bringing them across. So if Texas does a good job closing our border, yeah, they'll go to Arizona, they'll go to California, and yes, it will show the difference between red state policies to secure the border and blue states.
And of course, Border Patrol, this is part of the federal government, and it is the constitutional obligation of the federal government to secure the border. How do we begin to solve this from the federal government if we do have a Republican who wins in 2024?
It's real simple. Just enforce the laws that are on the books today. The deputy of the entire National Border Patrol told us that if you simply reinstituted Remain in Mexico, just one policy, it would cut down the flow nationally 65 to 70%. And that's an astounding figure. It's just you've got to do something. Some people say it's got to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you're serious and you have the good policies in place, you'll cut the flow down and people won't come because they know it won't work.
What do you think the Republican Party and a Republican president has to do when it comes to those who are here already? What do you think the answer is for illegal immigrants who have already made their way and who are present in the United States?
Well, we'll see how that happens, but I will tell you, I want the federal government to focus on Americans. That's not what they're doing. We need to focus on getting our middle class back. Rather than hollowing out the middle class. I want less veterans to be homeless on the street. We need to focus on our own people instead of just allowing the tsunami to come across the border. Look, we've got 20 million immigrants in the nation that are either illegal, they're dreamers, and so forth. So there's 20 million. The number is huge. And I don't know how that's going to work out.
What do you hope that the rest of the country, the states that aren't border states, what do you hope they understand about the border that you've seen here in Texas?
Well, I think they need to understand that with the number of military-aged males that we have let come across the border, we have set ourselves up for an October 7th attack inside the interior of the United States. I ask everybody to be very aware that we have no idea who most of these people are. The Border Patrol, if you tell them that your name is John Doe, they write down John Doe before they transport you into the interior of the United States. That does not give me comfort.
And on the topic of national security, I mean, people here, I think that is one of their main concerns, that there's a national security threat in having an open border. But instead, we've seen a lot of people in the media say that the people here are actually the national security threat, that they're going to be violent. We haven't seen any violence. Could you speak back against some of that coverage? What are we actually seeing here on the ground?
I will tell you, the phrase I've used is that is ridiculous hyperbole when they say that there are going to be agitators here. We've seen at the front gate, they're keeping the agitators out. What we are seeing here is a peaceful assembly, which is only, they are exercising their First Amendment rights to peaceful assembly and free speech. That's what I see here. These are people that are having a great time, and they're going to voice their support for a secure border, for a strong border, and a strong national defense.
Thank you. And then just one last question for you. The Biden administration clearly has a vision for how they want to run the border. You and the Republican Party have a vision for how the border should be handled. What does America look like? What are the stakes, and what does America look like with 5 more years, or 10 more years, or even 20 more years of the current immigration policy and the current status of the border?
We will lose our republic if we do not secure this border. If we continue 300,000 in December, 302,000 in December, 8 million in 3 years of the Biden administration, that's more than the population of Ohio, the 7th largest state. If that continues, we will lose our republic, because some of these people are hardworking people that simply want a job. Some do not have our best interest in mind. That's the national security issue that I see.